Commander Zixtal's phosphorescent antennae twitched as they studied the personnel file hovering before them. Their compound eyes narrowed at the pulsing red warning label attached to their newest crew member's profile. Something unprecedented in their 3 centuries of service in the Galactic Exploration Fleet. Warning: human specialist demonstrates exceptional cognitive adaptability and unprecedented problem-solving approaches. Standard operational protocols may be subject to creative interpretation. Exercise heightened awareness during crisis situations. Most peculiar, First Officer Nera commented, her crystalline form shifting through shades of deep blue. Why would the Council assign us someone with such an unusual designation? Because First Officer, Captain Elorian's melodic voice chimed in, their bioluminescent patterns rippling across scaled skin. The Stellaris Prime's mission into the Void Quadrant requires unique perspectives. Lieutenant Raven Walsh stood before them in the ship's reception chamber, their dark skin contrasting with the stark white of their uniform. Their calm demeanor betrayed nothing of the warning label that had caused such stirring among the senior staff. "Welcome aboard, Lieutenant," Captain Elorian said. "Your reputation precedes you." "Thank you, Captain." Raven's voice carried a warmth that seemed to ease some of the tension in the room. "I assume you're referring to my warning label." "You're aware of it." Zixtal's antennae quivered. "I requested it myself, Commander. Better to be upfront about certain human traits than to surprise my crewmates later." Before anyone could respond, the ship's alert system activated. Red light bathed the chamber as the AI's voice echoed through the corridors. "Unknown anomaly detected in Sector 7 Gamma. All senior staff report to the bridge immediately." On the bridge, the main viewport revealed a sight that defied conventional physics. A massive tear in space shifted and writhed, its edges bleeding colors that shouldn't exist in normal spacetime. "Sensors are unable to categorize the phenomenon," Naira reported, her crystalline form pulsing with concern. "Energy signatures are unlike anything in our database. Standard containment protocols failing," Zixtal added, their multiple appendages dancing across control surfaces. "The anomaly is growing exponentially." Raven stood at their assigned station, studying the readings with intense focus. While others frantically analyzed individual data streams, they seemed to be seeing something different entirely. "Captain," Raven said quietly, "request permission to try something unconventional." The bridge fell silent. Captain Elorian's scales shifted through several colors before settling on a decisive green. "Your warning label suggested this might happen, Lieutenant. Proceed." Raven's fingers flew across their console. "The anomaly isn't random. Look at the pattern. It's responding to our sensor probes. We're not just observing it, we're communicating with it." "Impossible," Zixtal protested. "Our protocols clearly state—" "Commander," Raven interrupted gently, "sometimes the protocols need to evolve. This isn't just an anomaly, it's alive." As if responding to Raven's words, the tear in space pulsed, sending out waves of energy that made the ship's systems flicker. But within the chaos, a pattern emerged, one that only a human mind, evolved to find order in chaos, could recognize. The senior staff watched in amazement as Raven began to establish a rudimentary form of communication with the entity, using the ship's energy emissions to create a basic language of pulses and waves. "Remarkable," Captain Elorian whispered, their scales now glowing with excitement. "Perhaps this is why the Council insisted on having a human aboard. Someone who could see beyond our established protocols." As the first clear response from the entity came through, Raven allowed themselves a small smile. The warning label had served its purpose, not as a caution, but as a promise of possibility. What none of them realized then was that this first contact was merely the beginning. The true test of Raven's unique capabilities, and the real reason for that warning label, still lay ahead in the depths of the Void Quadrant. "Remarkable," Captain Elorian whispered, their scales now glowing with excitement. "Perhaps this is why the Council insisted on having a human aboard, someone who could see beyond our established protocols." As the first clear response from the entity came through, Raven allowed themselves a small smile. The warning label had served its purpose, not as a caution, but as a promise of possibility. What none of them realized then was that this first contact was merely the beginning. The true test of Raven's unique capabilities, and the real reason for that warning label, still lay ahead in the depths of the Void Quadrant. The entity's responses grew stronger, and with them came the first sign of trouble. Throughout the Stellaris Prime, systems began failing in cascading patterns. Primary power grid destabilizing, Zixtal reported, their antennae now rigid with alarm. Quantum core showing signs of interference. The entity's energy signatures are becoming more complex, Naira added, her crystalline form flickering erratically. They're penetrating our shields. Raven studied the shifting patterns with growing concern. The entity wasn't attacking. Its behavior suggested something far more interesting, but equally dangerous. It's trying to sync with our systems, they announced, like two organisms trying to achieve symbiosis. Impossible, Zixtal countered. Our technology is incompatible with organic integration. The safety protocols. A massive surge rocked the ship, killing power to the bridge. Emergency lighting cast everything in a pale blue glow as backup systems engage. All automated systems are offline, Naira reported. The AI core has shut down completely. Captain Elorian's scales pulse with urgent colors. Manual override protocols. Failing, Captain. The entity's energy patterns are overwhelming our control systems. Raven moved swiftly to the central console. Captain, request permission to attempt manual synchronization. Explain quickly, Lieutenant. The entity isn't hostile. It's curious. It's trying to understand us through our technology, but our systems are too rigid. We need to adapt to its patterns instead of fighting them. That violates every safety protocol we have, Zixtal protested. The risks are less than certain death, Raven finished. Our shields are failing. When they go, that entity's raw energy will tear this ship apart. Captain Elorian's scales shifted through a rapid sequence of colors before settling on a decisive amber. Do it. Raven's fingers flew across the manual controls, making adjustments that seemed random to the alien crew, but followed a pattern only they could see. They weren't just changing settings. They were creating a new language of energy and response. Power systems stabilizing, Naira reported, surprise evident in her crystalline resonance. The entity's energy patterns are harmonizing with our systems. Through the viewport, the tear in space had transformed. What was once chaotic now moved with purpose, its colors shifting in sync with the ship's power pulses. It's beautiful, Captain Elorian whispered. It's trying to show us something, Raven said, still working at the console. The patterns, they're not random. They're star maps. The entity's energy coalesced into a clear image, a path through the Void Quadrant, leading to something ancient and powerful. It's an invitation, Raven explained, or a warning, maybe both. The bridge crew watched in amazement as the star maps revealed a route no exploration vessel had ever charted, a path that defied known physics and navigation protocols. The Council's mission directives are clear, Zixtal stated. We should report this and await further instructions. Captain Elorian's scales rippled thoughtfully. Lieutenant Walsh, your warning label mentioned creative interpretation of protocols. What's your assessment? Raven smiled slightly. The Council sent us to explore, Captain. They just didn't specify how far beyond our comfort zone that exploration might take us. The entity pulsed again, its patterns now clearly anticipatory. Whatever lay along that impossible path, it wanted them to find it. Plot the course, Captain Elorian commanded. Lieutenant Walsh, you'll work with Commander Zixtal to modify our systems for this journey. We're about to rewrite the protocols of space exploration. As Raven began the preparations, they couldn't help but think that this was exactly why they'd requested that warning label. Sometimes the greatest discoveries required stepping beyond the boundaries of conventional wisdom. The Void Quadrant beckoned, and with it, the promise of revelations that would change the galaxy's understanding of life itself. The Stellaris Prime ventured deeper into the Void Quadrant, its modified systems humming with alien energy. The entity's presence remained constant, guiding them through impossible spaces where normal physics seemed optional. Hull integrity at 60%, Zixtal announced. These spatial distortions are pushing our structural limits. The ship shuddered as another wave of energy passed through them. What they'd discovered along their journey defied explanation. Ancient artifacts suspended in space, remnants of civilizations that predated the Council itself. New energy signature detected, Naira reported. Massive scale, unlike anything we've encountered. Through the viewport, space itself seemed to fold, revealing a structure that shouldn't exist. A massive spherical construct that appeared to be made of pure energy, its surface rippling with patterns similar to their guide entity. It's some kind of hub, Raven observed. Those patterns, they're like a language. The entity's been teaching us to read it. Before anyone could respond, the ship's modified systems began resonating with the structure. Information flooded their databases, not just data, but understanding. The entities weren't just energy beings. They were the custodians of cosmic knowledge, architects of reality itself. This is why they chose us, Raven explained, their eyes wide with realization. They've been watching, waiting for species capable of adapting, of seeing beyond rigid structures. Captain Ilorian's scales shifted rapidly. And the warning label. They knew I'd be coming. They've been influencing events, guiding the Council. My warning label wasn't about protocol. It was about potential. The structure pulsed, and with it came a choice, an invitation to evolution that would forever change both humanity and the Council races. It was time to break the final protocol. The entities aren't just showing us the way, Raven announced, their hands moving across the console with practiced certainty. They're offering us a chance to join them. The bridge crew watched as the massive energy structure began to resonate with their ship, with their very beings. Each pulse carried understanding. The entities were shepherds of evolution, guiding species toward a greater existence. This is what my warning label truly meant, Raven explained. Not that I might break protocols, but that I could see the need to transcend them entirely. Captain Ilorian's scales now glowed with an inner light that hadn't been there before. You knew this would happen. I suspected. Humans, we've always been good at seeing patterns others miss, at making leaps others consider impossible. The choice before them was clear: remain bound by the physical laws and limitations they knew, or embrace an evolution that would transform them into something greater. The Council must be informed, Zixtal insisted, though their antennae now pulsed with the same energy that filled the ship. The Council already knows, Raven smiled. Why else would they send a ship crewed by species capable of energy manipulation, crystalline consciousness, and adaptive biology? We were chosen. All of us. The transformation began not with violence or fear, but with understanding. The energy entities merged with the crew, not erasing their individuality but enhancing it, elevating it to something greater. Zixtal's consciousness expanded beyond their physical form, their antennae now channels for cosmic energy. Naira's crystalline structure became a conduit for knowledge that transcended space and time. Captain Ilorian's bioluminescence joined with the very fabric of reality. And Raven, the human marked with a warning, became the bridge between old understanding and new possibility. Their capacity for adaptation, for seeing patterns in chaos, made them the perfect translator for this cosmic evolution. The Stellaris Prime emerged from the Void Quadrant not as a ship, but as a beacon. Its crew were no longer bound by physical form or limited understanding. They had become something new, guardians of evolution, shepherds of change. The warning label that had once marked Raven as potentially dangerous now stood as a testament to humanity's greatest strength: the ability to see beyond boundaries, to embrace the unknown, and to lead others into a future unlimited by protocol or convention. In the end, it was never about breaking rules. It was about transcending them entirely, about becoming something greater than the sum of their parts. The mystery behind the human marked with a warning had become the key to unlocking the next stage of cosmic evolution. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, new warning labels were being written, not as cautions, but as beacons of hope for those ready to evolve beyond their own limitations. The end was just the beginning. The warning's purpose. The transformation of the Stellaris Prime's crew marked only the beginning. As their consciousness expanded, they began to understand the true scope of their evolution. The ship itself had become a living entity, its systems now perfectly merged with the energy being's essence. "We're receiving transmissions," Naira announced, her crystalline form now pulsing with cosmic energy. From everywhere, everywhen. The knowledge flooded in. The energy beings weren't just guardians of space, they were custodians of time itself. The void quadrant was their nexus, a place where past, present, and future converge. Raven's enhanced consciousness processed the information with newfound clarity. They've been preparing for this moment for millennia. The Council, human space exploration, my warning label. It was all part of their plan. A plan for what? Captain Elorian's form now rippled with temporal energy. "Survival," Raven answered. "The universe is changing. Reality itself is evolving, and only species capable of adapting will survive the transformation." The truth revealed itself through their enhanced perception. The universe was approaching a critical juncture, a cosmic evolution that would reshape the fundamental laws of reality. The energy beings had been preparing chosen species for this moment, guiding their development. This is why they needed someone who could think beyond protocols. Zixtal realized, their antennae now channeling temporal frequencies, someone who could help others make the leap. The warning label that had marked Raven as unpredictable now served as a beacon, drawing other species ready for transformation. The Stellaris Prime became a nexus point, attracting vessels from across the galaxy, all carrying individuals marked with similar warnings. Beyond labels. As their numbers grew, a new understanding emerged. The warnings weren't marks of potential danger but indicators of evolutionary potential. Each marked individual brought unique perspectives, different ways of transcending limitations. The Stellaris Prime's crew, led by Raven's example, began guiding others through the transformation. Species that had once been bound by rigid protocols learned to embrace chaos as a path to higher order. Captain Elorian's consciousness expanded across multiple dimensions. The Council knew. They'd been selecting crews, positioning assets, preparing for this moment. Not just preparing, Raven corrected, their consciousness now spanning multiple realities. They were evolving themselves. Every seemingly rigid protocol was designed to be transcended at the right moment. The energy beings shared the final piece of understanding. They weren't separate entities, but future versions of the evolved species, reaching back through time to guide their own evolution. The warning labels were their way of marking those ready to take the next step. As more ships arrived in the void quadrant, the transformation accelerated. The universe itself seemed to pulse with new life as species after species transcended their physical forms, joining the cosmic dance of energy and consciousness. Zixtal, once the strictest adherent to protocol, now helped others understand how rules could become guidelines for growth rather than limitations. Naira's crystalline consciousness became a model for maintaining individuality within unity. The warning label that had once marked Raven as different became a symbol of hope, a reminder that evolution required the courage to think differently, to challenge assumptions, to see beyond the apparent chaos to the patterns beneath. In the end, the mystery behind the human marked with a warning revealed a universal truth. True growth comes not from following paths, but from daring to forge new ones. The transformed crew of the Stellaris Prime became living proof that the greatest discoveries lie beyond the boundaries of convention. As the cosmic evolution continued, new warning labels appeared across the galaxy. But now, they read differently. Warning: bearer capable of extraordinary transformation. Prepare to evolve. The universe had entered a new age, and those once marked as dangerous had become its guardians. The mystery was solved, but the journey was just beginning. In the vast expanse of space and time, countless more warnings waited to become revelations. The Stellaris Prime remained at the heart of the Void Quadrant, a beacon for those ready to transcend their own limitations. And somewhere in the cosmic dance of energy and consciousness, Raven smiled, knowing that their warning label had served its true purpose, not to caution, but to inspire. The end was not an ending at all, but a doorway to infinite possibilities, where every warning became an invitation to evolve beyond what was into what could be.